thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 17, episode 13. So let's get into it. Before we get into this review, we gonna get a little spicy, just a little, and we got one spicy thing to talk about, and that is the seating chart for the reunion. So I think they filmed the reunion either last Friday or I think last Friday or last Thursday, based off of when I screenshotted it. It says Thursday, so I feel like they had the reunion Thursday or Friday, but I could be wrong. But they released the seating charts, and I have a few things to say about it. So we know Andy is always in the middle. On the right-hand side, you have Heather, Gina, and Jen. On the left-hand side, you have Tamra, Shannon, Emily, and Taylor. A lot of people were like, well, why isn't Vicky on there? But Vicky hasn't played a pivotal role in this season, really. She was only at the look-alike party. Other than that, what has Vicky added to the show? At least with Taylor, we saw that she got into it with Heather, and she's been there since, I want to say, like episode 2 or 3. So here's my thoughts about the seating chart. On the right-hand side, I definitely agree with Heather being first chair, but I think Gina should be last because her storyline didn't play a pivotal role in the actual season. When it came to Jen's whole, like, is Ryan a good guy or not? Is he gonna be good for Jen? Is he cheating on Jen? Then her beef with Tamra, that was threaded throughout the whole entire season. Like, I feel like that started like episode 4 when they were in Montana. I feel like episode 4 or 3 when they were in Montana. So I feel like she should be in that spot, but I also understand that, like, seniority, she was going to be last because she is a newbie. But I do feel like she was a solid addition to this cast. Like, she didn't feel out of place. And hopefully if she gets asked back for season 2, Jen will be more confident and she will start getting into Tamra's ass. And then on the left-hand side, I definitely think that Shannon and Tamra should be switched. If we're talking about seniority and star quality, I feel like Shannon should be first chair. Tamra just got back from being fired, and y'all are rewarding her by making her first chair. And I feel like her meddling with the whole situation with Heather and Shannon, and then with Jen, and that was only really pivotal to the whole entire season in the beginning of the season. We're now on episode 13, and I feel like there really is no need to Tamra, if we being honest. But Shannon and Heather going back and forth has been happening for a while now, so I would have had Shannon at first chair. But that's just my thoughts. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up and we see Shannon. I forgot the guy's name and I wish I would have got his name, but I think he's like a holistic doctor. He does acupuncture and other methods of treating people's ailments. But we've seen him a few times on OC. Shannon goes to him all the time. He does, like, rubbing on her body, relieving different like pressure points. And I believe in that stuff to a certain extent. Because I mean, energy and all of the stuff around us does cause your body to be wonky sometimes. So he was like rubbing all up on her and like checking her body, and he pretty much could tell that she was stressed, like she was holding up a lot of tension in certain areas of her body. And he was like, what's going on? And Shannon pretty much is telling us that, like, she's still stressed out about what people have to say about her relationship with John. She then starts talking about this colonic, but honestly, y'all, I was in and out in this part. I didn't really think it would be needed for her to speak about her trying to perfect this at-home colonic that she can, send out to people. I mean, there's people who like to do colonics at home. Good for you, but I didn't understand this needing to be a part of this scene. But okay. We then have this scene of Jen and her mom at home. I would not want to eat or stay at Jen's home. First, she feeding them cats on the kitchen counter. And I'm like, I know you make enough money where you could have bought a portable table and did that. Then, and it's not even like she had the counter covered in like blankets or a towel. I could give you that, but it was just a bare kitchen counter. Then you now sitting on the couch with your mom in your sneakers. Like you're legit like crisscross applesauce on your couch in sneakers. Girl, the way I would have got cussed out and the way I would have cussed somebody out if they ever sat on my couch with their sneakers on. Even like babies know they take their shoes off. At least I know, I guess I would say, I was speaking for my family. The kids in my family know if I'm sitting on the couch, I'm taking off my sneakers. I'm not standing on the couch with my sneakers on. That's dirty. That is nasty. Jen. Ugh. So her mom's in town from Oklahoma. She lets us know that her and her mom don't have the perfect relationship anymore. Like they're best friends, but like after her divorce with Will, she could tell her mom kind of pulled away. Like she wasn't coming to visit her all the time while they were in California. And she was like, you know, where I come from, people don't get divorced. They just die unhappy and alone in their marriages. And I chose to take a different path. While she's sitting on the couch, her and her mom get emotional. We find out that I guess Will didn't have a mom, so he was in love with her family. And I guess that's probably also why the family like gravitated to him so much, because he doesn't have anyone like that. Kind of the same way with the Kardashians and Scott. Like we know Scott is an orphan, but they keep Scott around because they know Scott doesn't have anybody else, and he's been a part of their family for so long that like technically the Kardashians is his family. I know that has to be awkward for Courtney, but this is the dynamic y'all created. But like, so the mom gets emotional. Jen gets emotional. She was like, I never wanted to hurt Will. And the thing about it is with Jen is like, Jen doesn't want to be the bad guy. And sometimes in order for you to find your happiness, you have to be the bad guy. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older, that sometimes when you're seeking happiness, you have to be the bad guy in somebody else's life. And it might not be intentional. It might be intentional. But at this point, if she was unhappy in her marriage and she wasn't getting fulfilled and Will wasn't doing as she asked or doing anything or trying to go to counseling with her or trying to make the changes, it's not fair, nor is it right for her to sit in a loveless marriage that's not feeding her anymore. And that's the weird thing I feel like is like it seems like her family just wanted her to stick it out, and that's stupid to me. That's so stupid to me, especially when like we know how divorces go. We know it's a couple of people putting rat poison in the tea to their husbands, and there's a couple of husbands plotting, digging holes in the back of their houses to put their wife in. So I feel like at this point, don't stay in no marriage if you gonna gain that much resentment. Dip out when you need to dip out. So we also see in this episode that Jen, Ryan, and her mom like actually like meet up at a restaurant, and her mom kept bringing up Will. And I mean, I think her question that she posed towards Ryan was a good question. Like, I'm kind of curious, how are you going to deal with 5 kids? Because Will was a good father, like he was a good guy, and Ryan was like, yeah, he is a good guy. And then the mom was like, and a great husband. And you could tell in Jen's face, like, girl, no, he wasn't, and you know he wasn't. And that's when Jen was like, no, but Jen was like, he was a great father, a great dad. And the mom was like, a great husband. And I'm just looking at the mom like, you really don't care about your daughter's feelings, nor do you care about her relationship with Ryan. Granted, I wouldn't want my child to be with Ryan either, because I told you we know Ryan is the town whore. I would not want my child to be with a whore that like, you know, like they say, a leopard doesn't change their spots and a zebra doesn't change their stripes. I wouldn't want my child to be with that. But that doesn't mean that Ryan shouldn't be given respect, nor should Jen not be given respect. If your child has told you, like, my relationship with Will was not happy, it was not good, why would you utter out your mouth that it was a good marriage? I'd have told my mom, I would have checked her. Like, she should have checked her mom. She should have been like, and then again, I wouldn't have that issue. Because if I would have told my mama I'm not happy, she'd have been like, okay, let's move on and let's move out. Let's move on and let's move out. But the fact that her mom was so willing to be like, he was a good husband. When earlier in the episode, you were like, if you weren't happy, it's okay. It's good that you left. Girl, I'd have told my mom, shut up. Jen should have told her mom to shut up. She should have told her mom to shut up. She should have checked her, because you know what your child has been through, and you're trying to advocate for the ex-husband when you even confirmed that your child really wasn't happy in that marriage, but you're going to sit here, he was a good husband. In what way? And I don't know if the mom has this archaic way of thinking like a good husband means he provided for the family and they weren't like destitute and broke. But a good husband, that's like part of being a good partner. But if you're not feeding somebody emotionally, then what are you? You just a roommate, a good roommate, and that's it. Okay, y'all, so let's talk about Heather's HD party and how Emily made an ass of herself. So Heather's having an HD party. I kind of was confused because I thought the party was for Fireside, like they were launching the app, but I guess she's launching a channel or the network, the HD network. So she's excited. She invited all of the ladies. We know Taylor and Shannon didn't come. We saw in the previous episode, or they showed us a flashback of where Heather invited Shannon, but you could tell Shannon really wasn't interested in coming to the party. So, because she said something about, like, oh, I'm going to Texas, but her body language showed that she didn't really care. So, Heather wasn't sure if she was coming, but I don't know if she invited Taylor. But the decor for the party was lovely. Like it gave like inside garden party, and I loved it. We find out in that moment before everyone gets to the party, that it is final that Heather and Terry have sold their house. Like everything's good. All the paperwork is signed. We also find out that they moved into, I guess, like a penthouse suite in a hotel where the remaining two kids have their own room, and then they have their room too. It was a lovely like hotel room. So they're like excited and all of that good stuff. And so everyone starts showing up to the party. We see Tamara and Jen get there in the same color. Then we see Emily show up, and then we see Gina show up. So while they're sitting at the table, Heather's going around mingling. She gets to the table where the girls are crowded around one of the little bar tables. And Emily's like, girl, is Shannon coming? And Heather's like, I don't know. And then 20 minutes later, Heather lets us know that she sent a text message to Shannon, but Shannon just texted her like 20 minutes later when she asked her, I guess earlier in the day or the day before, where we find out that Shannon got sick. But Heather's kind of like, you could have emailed me or texted me earlier than this. So, good on you, girl. Then when Heather leaves the table, Emily makes a comment how she needs to address something with Heather and brings up BravoCon. So pretty much, I guess, during BravoCon, Heather tells Emily that Shannon was speaking disparagingly about her, but she couldn't really tell her what Shannon said because she's a vault. So it rubbed Emily the wrong way, because she's like, don't tell me that someone was speaking negatively about me and you're not telling me, you're not saying what it is. So we already know Emily's about to show her ass, and she showed her ass. So they get down, they sit down at the table. I thought the decor for the event was actually lovely. It gave like garden party inside. I love the decor. I love the cutlery and everything. It was really nice. So everyone goes inside, they sit down, and Heather starts explaining to them like what she's doing. She was like, the network where you can cook, you can do like hauls, like there'd be a live audience. And so then Tamara in her confessional is comparing this to like OnlyFans and TikTok live. And I was like, I don't get why Tamara is so shady towards Heather. And all I could think about it is jealousy. And I hate telling people that they are jealous. I think that's like the low hanging fruit, to be like, oh, they don't like me because they're jealous. But in this case, I feel like Tamara is jealous of Heather, because it's like, why are you so mad at her for doing this laundry party? Why are you so always trying to knock her acting career? You've never had one. Your only claim to fame, Tamara, has been being on this show, and you acted like a child when you got fired and talk mad trash about your supposed best friend, your sister, because she didn't get fired like you did. Now all of a sudden you're doing this podcast, and I know for sure you would be mad as hell if someone was talking trash about your podcast, because a lot of people don't think it's that girl. A lot of people don't think that podcast is that it. They find both of you and Teddy to be boring as hell. And it's like, I don't get why you got such a hard on for Heather. It'd be different if Heather and Tamara were going at it and Heather was talking cash money trash about Heather. If Heather was talking cash money trash about Tamara in her confessional, or if they had confrontation, but they haven't. The only thing Heather has ever said about Tamara, who people could see as being nasty, is she was like, when you get in fights with Tamara, she get nasty. And that's true, because Tamara is a gutter snipe. She's a gutter snipe. That lady gets vile when she's mad at you. She was out here calling Shannon a straight up alcoholic. So I don't understand. I don't understand why she is always trying to talk trash about this lady like this. I don't get it. So while they're sitting at the table, they start bringing out the food. The food didn't look that great to me, but hey, that's them. And Emily just starts being an ass. She's eating the food like it's a fruit roll up. She's talking about how she doesn't want to eat the caviar because it comes out of a fish's vagina. She's like calling Heather a hooker about her nails. She was like, "Oh, you have the hooker nails." And when you look at her nails, Heather's nails weren't even that long. They were maybe a step above sports nails. And then Heather's like, "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" Then they bring out a salad and it's like they have cucumber, like they thinly sliced cucumber and wrapped it around the salad. And Emily's eating it like a fruit roll up and talking with it in her mouth. And she's like, "It's not enough salad dressing." And Heather's like, "Well, if you break up the salad dressing is around it." She's touching the waiters, talking about, "Oh, this is a peacock feather." She then talks about how there's sand in the next food that they get. And like you could tell, Heather is getting increasingly annoyed and more pissed off as Emily is talking. You got her best friend Gina looking at Emily like, "Emily, chill out, like stop, you're being disrespectful, like girl, if you didn't like the food, we wait until we get home and then we talk trash about it." Jen is staring at Emily like, "Girl, what is wrong with you?" Then Tamara is looking at Emily like, "Girl, chill out." And then Emily starts saying other off the wall stuff. She starts saying like, "Heather, you have all this HD around. Next thing you know, you're gonna brand us with HD." And Heather's like, "Okay, like, is this a joke? Is it not a joke?" And it's like she's throwing all these shots because she's mad about the whole BravoCon situation, but she's making herself look like a complete ass. It's okay for you to be frustrated, but Gina had to tell Emily, like, "Girl, this is not the time or the place." So then they get up to go to the bathroom, and then Emily's like, "It's like open sesame." So she flings open the drapery that's where the bathroom is, and Heather's like, "Girl, what is going on?" Jen tried to speak up for Emily and be like, "Well, she did say she's been drinking all day." And I'm with Heather. You're too old to be using "I've been drinking all day" as an excuse for your behavior. Like, you're an adult. Like, get some water and shut up and sit down. And that's what Heather said. She was like, she needs to shut up and sit down and eat her food, because at this point I'm over it. So she sits back down, and you can tell everyone's just like irritated. Like everyone's just irritated at this point. And Emily's just making a fool of herself. And Heather's just kind of like, "I'm not going to let her ruin this for me, but I'm over Emily. I'm just over her." The party ends and we see Terry and Heather go back to the house. You know, it's finalized. They moved out of the home. He's talking about like every inch of this house is you and it's perfect. And Heather's like, "I don't think I'm not perfect. My friends let me know I'm not perfect." And he was like, "What are you going to tell them when it gets out that we sold the house?" And she was just like, "I don't know," because she was like, when I share things, I'm bragging and I'm being pretentious and egotistical. So she was like, "I don't know. I didn't want them to rain on our parade. Like, this was such a monumental like occasion, and it was wonderful." And so I thought it was extremely cute watching Heather and Terry dance in their house while they do the montage of all the different things that have happened in their home, like them breaking ground, the fight between Vicky and Megan, you know, just all the cool things that have happened at their home. And it just was like, wow, like they lived in this home for like years, and now they're selling it and moving on to better things. Because I would sell my house for $55 million, even if it was my dream home. $55 million is nothing to sneeze at, okay? So while it's the next day, you see Shannon and Tamara on the phone. And Tamara tells Shannon about Emily being drunk out her mind. She then tells, Shannon ends up telling Tamara about how, you know, we got, what's it called? She was like, "I got reprimanded by Heather, and it's feeling like a flashback to 2014 when Heather reprimanded Shannon for being late to her party." And Tamara ends up telling Shannon about how, you know, "Oh, we're going to Mexico." They need to pick a different country. I know Mexico is tired of them, but they're going to Mexico. And Tamara's like, "Oh, let me look up the resort because I think it's really nice." And then I don't know, Tamara's like, oh my God, girl, what? So then everyone starts to react to Heather and Terry selling their home for $55 million. And everyone's like, $55 million? $55 million. And then they're like, well, she never told us anything about them selling their house. Like, we just were at her party and she didn't say anything about them selling their house. So now everyone's feeling some type of way because Heather didn't tell them anything about selling their house. So we see the ladies make it to Mexico. They talking about sharing rooms. And I was like, y'all too old to be sharing rooms. But then we see the suites. And the suites are lovely. The suites actually remind me of the suites that they had in the that the Miami girls went to in, like, I think it was in Key West, where it's a suite. Like, it's 3 rooms. The common area is huge. Gina even was like, this is bigger than my home in OC. Oh, girl, we know. So they all go downstairs, like everyone's getting ready for the night festivities, to eat dinner and like acclimate to being in Mexico. So they go downstairs. They all are like having dinner beside the beach. It's a lovely setup. Everyone's trying to like hold off on talking about Heather selling her home because it's like the elephant in the room. And then finally someone brings up like, girl, you sold your home. Why didn't you tell us? And like a lot of people said on Twitter, the moment Heather mentioned like, well, we signed an NDA, y'all should have left it at that. It shouldn't have been a problem after that. Like, she signed an NDA. If she would have spoke about it, then the house might have fell through. Like, she signed an NDA and she was like, I couldn't speak about it. So then Shannon was like, well, I got reprimanded for not sharing a lot. And Heather's like, I have shared a lot, which she has. You know, Heather's like, well, I have shared a lot. So what are you talking about? Just because I didn't tell y'all about my home? And they're like, yeah, you should have told us about it. Like, and then that's when Heather says, well, 1 minute y'all are telling me I don't share enough. The next minute y'all are telling me when I share things that I'm being pretentious and I'm bragging. Like, what is it? What is it? So then Emily's like, that's not fair, Heather, like, yada yada. And then Heather brings up like, Emily, you have not been nice to me, so I don't really want to hear what you got to say. So then Emily was just like, well, that's not my fault. You can't tell between a joke and me being serious. And Heather's like, no, sis, I can tell the difference. You just been real nasty to me. And then Emily tried to slide in there, well, you would be body shaming me, because they do a flashback when Heather compared a cookie to Emily's titties. I said, Emily, shut the hell up. Shut up. So then Heather tries to be like, well, we can both play this body shaming game because you said I was in a whale suit. And I didn't take too kindly to that when I told y'all I didn't want to be in a swimsuit. So they're going back and forth. So then Emily finally brings up what she's mad about the whole, like, Emily was like, well, I'm really mad about you, Heather, is you telling me that Shannon said something nasty about me and you couldn't tell me. And Heather's like, I never said that. I never said anything about Shannon saying something ill about you. I was never in Shannon's room, because Emily says that you said you went to Shannon's room. And Emily was like, I did not say that. And then Shannon was like, she was never in my room. And then Gina being a shitty friend as well, because in one breath, Gina's like, well, I'm questioning our friendship. But in another breath, you got Gina saying in her confessional that I remember Heather and I and Emily being in the same room. I was getting my hair blown out, and Heather saying that it was Tamara who was speaking ill about her, not Shannon. But then Emily's not speaking up. So then Heather's just kind of like, I don't know what your issues is with me, because I've been nothing but a good friend to you. And I've been there for you. I asked you about your kids. I asked you about Shane. So then Emily's like, Heather has this checklist of like how to be a good friend. Ask about the kids. Ask about Shane. But then she doesn't really listen. So then Emily's like, Heather, you never really listened to me. And like, you're pretentious, you're this, you're that. And then Heather's like, just because you say something is emphatically does not make it true. And she did some like gesture with her hands. And so then Emily comes back and was like, just because you do this with your hand doesn't make it true. If I was Heather, I'd have told Emily, I would have said, fuck you, you nasty bitch, real quick, real hard. And I would have stared her dead in her face, because what we not about to do is be nasty to me, and I've done nothing to you. Because Emily, since that Nobu situation, has been really aggressive with Heather. And it's like, I don't know if it's because you're mad that Heather's cool with Tamra, but you can't be mad because you're cool with Tamra. Now that you're cool with Shannon and Tamra, now it's like you got this hard on for Heather and you want this issue with Heather. And I'm like, ugh, if I was Heather, I would have told her to F off and kiss my you-know-what. I would have got up from that table, would have said, y'all can talk about me as I leave because that's what y'all gonna do anyway. Then I would have went to my room, would have ordered me some room service, and would have contemplated whether or not I was gonna leave. Because at the end of the day, I just sold my house for $55 million and y'all broke and could never. You could never. Like, I don't know what it is with Emily when it comes to Heather, but I hope at this reunion, Heather was on everybody's neck. But that's where the episode ended. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.